for eternity. Free now forever. You pick me up, turn me around. You set my feet on solid ground. Yours now forever. And nothing's gonna hold me back. Nothing's gonna hold me back. Nothing's gonna hold me back. And my chains fell off, my heart was free. I'm alive to live for you. I'm alive to live for you.
verses 13 and 14 from the Amplified Bible. Moses told the people, "Fear not, stand still, firm, confident, undismayed, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians you have seen today, you shall never see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace and remain at rest." I'd like to ask Paul to come and speak to us now, please. Father, I thank you for the message that Paul has prepared, and I pray that this will be your words to each of us, and ask that you'll bless us through it. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's going to be a Black Friday message today. Okay, so 50% off. So you'll be able to have coffee early. It's the subject today, because it's the first Sunday in Advent. Was it hope? Hope it was good. That's the right one. It's about waiting expectantly in hope. Okay. Now, there's one fruit of the Spirit which I don't possess. Do you know what it is?
Joy.
No. Patience, that is right. I thought I was going to get some like that. I thought you were going to run through all 7 and say I didn't have any of them. Yeah, patience. One of the fruits of the Spirit. But I don't think I'm the only one, because on a computer nowadays, if you get on it 5 seconds and it hasn't done what you want it to do, you throw your hands up, thinking of getting another computer, hitting it. And fast food, you have to have food quick nowadays, don't you? If anyone takes too long, when you're in a traffic jam, if it's, takes a little while, you get frustrated. If you're at the gates, and the gates go up less than 10 seconds after the train, but if it takes any longer, you get furious, don't you? And I'm sure I'm not the only one that doesn't have patience. Lord, give me patience, and I need it now. Yeah, that's what we say in that. As a child, I never had patience. I was always told all good things come to those who wait. But I just couldn't wait, especially at Christmas. Got to Christmas Eve in particular, and I couldn't go to sleep. And I would lay in bed wide awake until I heard Father Christmas come in with a pillowcase full of presents. It sounded a lot like my mum, actually, but anyway. But as soon as they'd gone, I would be out of bed, down to the bottom, and start opening the presents. And even now as an adult, I find it really hard to wait for anything. I want to do stuff immediately. I remember the first time I went skiing. I always wanted to go skiing, and never have been able to afford it, but when I was 43, we managed to save enough money and we went skiing, and it cost quite a lot of money, and we were having lessons because we'd never done it before. And the very first day, Brigitte, this Austrian lady, had taught us just how to stand on the skis, go forward a little bit and stop. And then she said, this afternoon, just practice that. And I thought, I've only got 6 days. I want to get going. And I said, can we go anywhere else? So she goes, well, if you go down here, you can come down that little slope. And anyway, David and myself thought, we've got to do something bigger than this. So we went down, we got this chairlift. And after we'd been on the chairlift for about 10 seconds, we saw the slope that we were supposed to be going down, just down there. After 5 minutes on the chairlift, David started praying, and I always remember he said, God, if you can get us down this mountain safely, we promise we won't go back in. Anyway, 15 minutes later, we were still on this chairlift, and we got something like 2,300 metres up. We managed to get off because the chairs don't stop. You just have to jump off. And anyway, we managed that, and it looked like a sheer drop to us. And we realised that maybe we'd been a bit impatient. We didn't know how to turn, which helps you slow down. So we had to come down this red run, not knowing anything about skiing. And the lady didn't believe us the next day when we told her we'd done it. But David broke his promise, because the next day we did learn how to turn, and we went up and did it twice the next day. So it worked out all right. But, you know, I'm always so impatient to do things. And I just thought, when Dave was praying for Abby, that she's having chemo. And I remember when I was diagnosed with, and I had to have chemo 14 years ago. And even that, I said to the lady, when can I start? So and this was on a Thursday, she said, the first chance would be Monday. I said, that'll do. You know, couldn't wait for anything. And I never have been able to wait. But, in the notes, I read this. It said, most of us, I haven't got my glasses on, hang on. Most of us are all too familiar with the waiting rooms of life. We wait for graduation, we wait for a spouse, we wait for a child, a job, a promotion, a diploma, a prodigal to return, a diagnosis, a cure, another round of chemotherapy, a retirement party. Life is filled with seasons of waiting that become the breeding ground for insecurities and self-doubts as we anticipate what is next. All through life, we have to wait for things, don't we? And some things you can't do anything else but just wait and trust God if you're a Christian. Other times you wait and you get fed up with waiting for God, particularly where it says there about a spouse. And I've seen many people fall down on that particular point. They're Christians waiting for a Christian husband or wife, they get fed up with waiting, and then they get involved with someone who is not a Christian. Even though I believe the Bible's clear that says that a Christian should not be unequally yoked with a non-Christian. And how can light have anything to do with darkness? If two people are pulling in the opposite directions, how can that possibly work? But we think we know best sometimes, and we get fed up with waiting. Thinking about that unequally yoked, my dad once, there was a very successful businessman around Frinton, and he asked my dad to go in partnership with him. And, a great opportunity for my dad. We would have been well off as a family. But he said no, because the guy wasn't a Christian. He was a very nice chap, but his priorities wouldn't have been the same as my dad's, so he turned the offer down. Sometimes we have to wait, not knowing what the future's going to be, don't we? And that's the hardest, waiting. And we have to just trust in God. The reading we had in Exodus 14, it said this: Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Take your stand, be firm and confident and undismayed, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For those Egyptians whom you have seen today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you, while you only need to keep silent and remain calm." Keep silent and remain calm. That's not easy, is it? The Israelites had come down from Egypt, got to the Red Sea, and all the Egyptian chariots and horsemen were chasing them. They had nowhere to go. And God said, be silent, remain calm, and see God fight for you today. Can we wait patiently and expectantly on the Lord with a sure hope? You know, we have a hope, don't we? But that hope isn't like the hope we think of nowadays. It's not a maybe. It is a definite. There's a song we sing in Songs of Fellowship, and it's 289. The second verse says, we have a hope that is steadfast and certain. Gone through the curtain and touching the throne. We have a hope that is actually certain. It's not just a maybe. That hope that we have is a life with God and Jesus in heaven. Whatever that will be like, I can never picture it myself. It's just would be too amazing, and I don't think any of us have any idea what it will be like. As Christians, we remember Jesus' first coming at this time of year, don't we? At Christmas, the Messiah. I was thinking the Jewish nation were waiting for this moment right from, if you read the Old Testament, there's parts of the Old Testament that say about Jesus, or the Messiah coming. And it's right through the Old Testament. And the Jews were waiting for this. But most of them missed it when it happened. And now Jews, they don't read Isaiah 53 because it is so clear in Isaiah 53. They don't read the last part of Isaiah 52 or 53 because it describes exactly about Jesus suffering on the cross for us. In Romans 13, verse 11, you read this. And do this, understanding the present time. The hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. The night is nearly over, the day is almost here. So let us put aside deeds of darkness and put on the armour of light. Let us behave decently as in the daytime, not in orgies or drunkenness or sexual immorality or debauchery, not in dissension and jealousy. Rather clothe yourselves with the Lord Jesus Christ, and do not think about how to gratify the desires of the sinful nature. It wasn't until I read that this week that I realised that's written to Christians. You know, we're closer now than when we first believed, and yet people must have been acting like that. We have to make sure that we are awake and ready, alert for Jesus' second coming. Because unfortunately, so many people, I think, are going to miss it. We mustn't fall asleep spiritually and fall back into the old ways. Like the 10 bridesmaids waiting for the bridegroom, you know, 5 of them weren't ready. Let's be awake and ready for Jesus' return. There was a bus that was the Humanist Society put an ad on it, and it said, "There's probably no God. Now stop worrying and enjoy yourself." But then some Christians sponsored a bus that followed it around, and it says, "But what if there is? You know, what if there is? The consequences of making the wrong choice are astronomical, aren't they?" I was reading a book, and it's called Gunning for God by John Lennox. And, you know, it's been said that religion or Christianity is opium for the masses. You know, they need something, you know, because they're weak. But he says this: atheism is the comforting delusion, not Christianity. The flight from facing reality, the projection of the desire not to have to meet God one day and give an account for your life. True opium for the people is a belief in nothingness after death. The huge solace of thinking that for all our betrayals, greed, cowardice, murders, etc., we are not going to be judged. You know, that's turns things round, doesn't it? You know, it's not us that are deluded. It's people that try and reject God and hope that there'll be no judgment for them. People like to bury their head in the sand, don't they, like the ostrich, you know. I can't see anything, so I'm all right. Keep busy and don't think too much about the future. I think that's one of the biggest things that we face nowadays. People are so busy, they don't give them time to think about the future. And if they do, they read bus 1. There's probably no God, so stop worrying. Enjoy yourself. Matthew 24, verse 38 to 39 says this: For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark and knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. You know, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to miss out. Those who reject Jesus don't want to see Jesus or don't bother to find out about him and about his sacrifice for each one of us. They have no hope, do they? And we're thinking about Frank that died this week, that he had a hope and he's in a far better place. It's sad for the family left behind, but he knew where he was going. He had that certain hope. And if you spoke to him, you could see that. If you have no hope, it's a terrible thing, isn't it? Yeah, I heard, I think it was last week, that people in concentration camps in Germany, when they lost hope, when they couldn't see a future, they soon perished. They needed a hope. A lot of people lose hope. I read that suicides in America since 2000 have gone up 24%. And the main cause of death between 20 and 34s in this country is suicide. People need hope. The refugees that are in Calais, you know, their hope is that they can get here for a better life, isn't it? That's what drives them, that hope. You know, if they lose that hope, where would they be? And we have that hope, we know that hope, and it's our duty, isn't it, to tell other people. In Jeremiah 29, verse 11, it says this: For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. I was thinking at the prayer meeting yesterday morning for the leaders, how do we find out those plans for our lives? You know, well, as I'm a leader, I've been able to find out what the plans for your lives are. And I've got them in this little red book. And let's see who we've got here. Oh, Sharon Cooper. Wow. Would you believe it? Who would have thought? Oh, you got it? No, yours is orange. This is red. Let's have another look. Oh, Stephen Sullivan. Wow, crumbs, at his age. Could you believe it? Yeah, dear. Oh, we've got some new entries here. Oh, Ian Crawford. Oh, that's amazing. I can't wait for that. Yeah. I mean, I can't show you this. You've got to find out for yourself. How are you going to find that out? Only by staying close to God to find out what his plan is for your future. Sometimes we can feel that all hope is gone. But we have to stand firm, just like those Israelites. Stand firm, keep calm, and Jesus meets us in our time of need. Sometimes even physically. I'm just going to read you something from Christianity magazine about a lady. She says, "My fate was clear. It was too late for any reprieve. I was set to die, and there was nothing I could do about it. I would shortly depart from Syria. It wasn't the Islamic State that pronounced my death sentence. It was Dr. Basil Hussein, one of the most respected neurologists in Syria. He explained to my family the end that he believed was inevitable. I'm sorry, but the blood vessel ruptured in Jamelia, and she experienced a massive stroke." His voice was sad. "My best guess is that she may have a day or two left. I apologise for saying this to you, but it's time to plan her funeral." What no one in my hospital room knew was that I heard every one of Dr. Basil's words clearly. My mother and sisters burst into tears at my bedside. I couldn't talk, I couldn't move. Alone in my mind, I cried hopelessly at this hopeless situation. The isolation crushed me. But then suddenly I was not alone. The room erupted in dazzling light, and a man stood at the foot of my bed. He smiled and called my name. "Jamail, I am Jesus. I hear you have been looking for me." In my most extreme dreams, I could not have imagined this, but Jesus stood in my room. Even though I was a practicing Muslim, I knew who he was. The Quran speaks of Jesus, and I'd heard that he has been appearing miraculously to people during the Syrian war. In fact, I remember thinking one day previously, when life was so hard, that I wished Jesus would visit me. There was so much hate around me. Jesus was about love, so I had heard. And did we ever need some of that in Syria? Then Jesus touched my hand, my paralysed hand. The heat instantly diffused through my whole body. I heard my mother shout, "Dr. Basil, Jamalia's hand has moved." I suddenly felt like reaching out to Jesus. My right hand lifted in worship, and Jesus, still at the foot of the bed, smiled lovingly at me. I heard screams in the room and a thud on the floor as my mother passed out, cold. Dr. Basil yelled through the chaos, "Is she trying to grab someone's hand?" I actually was. I desperately wanted to touch Jesus. My first words were, "Jesus, Jesus, don't leave me. I love you." That certainly quietened the room. My shocked family could not comprehend the words that hung in the air. It goes on to say how she was completely healed and become a Christian, and so did the whole of her family at that time. It's from a book called Women Who Risk. Because obviously becoming a Christian there, you risk everything. Will we see Jesus this Christmas? Are we looking for him? Or will we miss him amongst all the rubbish that there is that goes on at Christmas? We do have a hope, and this time of year we remember that. And, you know, we should remember that there's a lot of people that don't have hope, and that we should go out there and tell them. I'm going to listen to a song now. It's "O Holy Night." Now, I looked, Sophie sang this last year, and I couldn't find it on my phone on the website, because I'm not very good at looking at things on the website. So I listened to Mariah Carey singing it, and I didn't like that. And then I listened to Celine Dion, and that was pretty bad as well. But fortunately, Paul's managed to find Sophie's one, which is far better. So if you can just listen to this. In it, it says, if I can find out what it says, a thrill of hope, the weary souls rejoice. And in all our trials, Jesus born to be our friend.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Saviour's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till He appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices. Yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Led by the light of a face serenely beaming, with glowing hearts, by His cradle we stand. So led by the light of a star sweetly gleaming, He came, the wise men from Orient land. The King of Kings lay thus in lowly manger, in all our trials, born to be our friend, and He knows our need. Our weakness is no stranger. Behold your King, before Him lowly bend. Behold your King, before Him lowly bend. Truly He taught us to love one another. His law is love, and His gospel is peace. Chains shall He break, for the slave is our brother, and in His name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus phrase, we let all with praise his holy name. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices. No night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining.